The Australian government and organizations within the national intelligence community have identified mis and disinformation and malign, particularly malign foreign influence, as one of the major threats to Australian civil society and democracy.
Disinformation literally kills. For instance, the anti-vax campaign has resurged in the USA in part because of disinformation campaigns. The number of unnecessary deaths due to COVID-19 were in the hundreds of thousands.
In this course, we provide a global, historical, and regional perspective on the problem of misinformation, disinformation, and malign influence. We looked at the tactics, tools, and procedures that are used by malign actors and some of the emerging best practices that can be used to assess and to try to counter disinformation, misinformation, and malign influence. One of the biggest problems with disinformation is that potentially anyone can be a target, and no matter how smart you are or how smart you think you are, we can all fall for disinformation or misinformation, and we can all be manipulated. We know family members and friends that have been affected, for example, by QAnon conspiracy theories. People that are spreading disinformation and looking to manipulate us look for vulnerabilities, and there are all kinds of reasons that people might be vulnerable to misinformation. Any kind of divisions that exist can be manipulated, and vulnerabilities can be manipulated, and people look for them.
There are two main actors behind disinformation. There's the actors that we all know about and hear about, which are the political actors, but also in addition to that, there's actors who are using disinformation for commercial purposes, to get more likes and clicks for their media programs, to make them money. One of the central problems in this space is that the platforms have a conflict of interest. They have a click-based model. The problem is that disinformation sells, and ChatGPT is going to increase the propagation of disinformation on social media like never seen before. A second major issue is freedom of speech. Trying to determine whether some information is false and trying to do it quickly can be problematic, especially when trying to do it at scale.
And oftentimes people say, well, this is a question of freedom of speech, but we don't necessarily have the right to amplification. And this is something where we can actively go in, and platforms do go in, and they take down networks of coordinated behavior.
One of the aims of this course is to teach people more about the nature of the problem and about the potential solutions, so they have a more nuanced understanding.
This is something that we need to take very seriously, because the spread of misinformation and disinformation and malign influence, particularly when it's by foreign actors, but not only, can really detrimentally impact the quality of democratic life within the countries that we live in.